After winning the FCS National title in the spring of 2021 and winning 21 of 25 games in the calendar year of 2021, the last 2 years have been tough for Sam Houston football as they have transitioned to the FBS level. They are 8-13 in the last 2 years and went 3-9 last year in their first full season as an FBS school. But their record does not tell the full story. This is the story of Sam Houston football. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know what college football program you want me to look into next in the comment section below. I'm also raising money for a charity run I'm participating in at the end of September. If you're interested in donating, the link is in the description below and I would greatly appreciate it. Sam Houston began playing college football in 1912 and is located in Huntsville, Texas, which is north of Houston. In 1932, they would become an NAIA program and won a co-share of the NAIA national title in 1964. They would remain an NAIA school through 1981 before moving to NCAA Division II as a member of the Lone Star Conference. In 1984, they transitioned to the Gulf Star Conference and the Southland Conference in 1987. Athletic Director Bobby Williams arrived in 1982 and hoped one day to make Sam Houston an FBS school. He told Dave Campbell's Texas Football, "If we build it, the FBS will come." That's the approach we took. We had to be the best in class and compete at a high level, and then we were able to build out from there. We're fortunate that the university saw enrollment growth. Throughout the 80s, the football program struggled as a member of the D2 due to the university not being all in. Ron Randleman's arrival would really turn things around for Sam Houston. He would lead them to their first Division I AA playoffs and 5 conference titles from 1982 to 2004. It seemed like he had the program on the right trajectory, leading them to the quarterfinals of the Division I AA playoffs in 2001 and the semifinals in his final year of coaching in 2004. When Randleman arrived, the program had gone 25-67 their previous 8 seasons, and while he was there, they would go 131, 125-3 throughout his Bearcats career, and he would win Coach of the Year honors 4 times. Todd Whitten was chosen to replace Randleman and struggled going 25-28 from 2005 to 2009, with 3 of his 5 seasons being losing seasons. Then came the arrival of Willie Fritz. Fritz had been a successful head coach at Central Missouri, going 97-47, and quickly turned things around for the Bearcats, taking them to the Division I AA national title game in 2011 with a 14-1 record, and followed that up with another national title appearance in 2012. In 4 years, he made the playoffs 3 times, never had a losing season, and won 2 conference titles going 40-15 before leaving for Georgia Southern. Casey Keeler would be hired to take over the Bearcats program and was a huge hire at the time. He coached over a decade at Delaware, leading them to the national title in 2003 and 2 more appearances in the title game, and finished with an 86-52 record. He was being blackballed, almost landing the Albany and Elon jobs that offseason, but both schools last minute would call him and say they couldn't hire him. He thought his coaching career was over and worked for ESPN for a year. That was until Ryan Carty, his former quarterback at Delaware, called him on the phone, and that phone call would change his life. Keeler explained, "Ryan called me and I went outside to take the call. He goes, 'I know what happened is bullshit, but you taught us a couple things. One of those things is you're measured in life by how you handle your adversity. This is your adversity. You're going to handle it.' That was when Sam Houston came calling." Keeler would have an amazing coaching tree throughout his career, with it including Dan Lanning, Kyle Flood, Phil Longo, and many more. Lanning was the defensive backs coach for Sam Houston in Keeler's first season, where they went to their first of 4 straight FCS playoff semifinals. Keeler played an emphasis on player-led activities in the summer, which, in addition to helping establish team leaders, allowed coaches to get away and spend more time with their families. After embarrassing ends to their playoff runs, though, Keeler began recruiting defenders with different body types and skill sets to play on the front 7 and brought in a seasoned football-only strength coach in Parker Whitman that he paid for himself for a couple seasons. Carty was also brought in as offensive coordinator. This led to back-to-back seasons without a playoff appearance, and fans began to call for Keeler's head. And then, during the postponed 2020 season that was played in the spring of 2021, magic happened. The Bearcats rattled off one of the greatest campaigns in FCS history. They went 10-0 on their way to the school's first Division I championship. Keeler was back on top and became the only coach at the FCS level at the time to win a national title at 2 different schools. Heading into the 2023 season, his resume spoke for itself. He was the winningest coach in FCS playoff history. the only coach to win an FCS title at more than one school, one of the top 150 greatest college football coaches of all time according to ESPN. He is also one of the top 25 winningest coaches in college football history. Following their national championship winning season, Sam Houston would officially join the WAC conference before announcing a shocking move to move up to the FBS as a member of the Conference USA. The school had been considering a move to the FBS for years, but they would always choose to hold off rather than pulling the trigger on the move. That would all change when Texas and Oklahoma decided to bolt to the SEC, creating a domino effect throughout college football that we are still watching occur today. The move led to the Big 12 grabbing 3 of the American top powers in Houston, Cincinnati, and UCF, and as a result, the American would poach 6 schools from Conference USA in UAB, UTSA, Rice, North Texas, Charlotte, and Florida Atlantic. The Conference USA was in a bad place, was at risk of dissolving as a conference, so they began looking for new potential members to save themselves. Sam Houston would be contacted by Conference USA the following week, and they would send the league a document selling itself as a potential member. Conference USA Commissioner Judy McLeod would take a visit to the campus a few days later, and 5 days after that visit, it was announced that Sam Houston was going to be joining the conference along with Jacksonville State, Liberty, and New Mexico State. About 2 weeks, only a few months from winning the FCS National title, the Bearcats would go from FCS power to new FBS members in a wild turn of events. Though it was a decision the school had been considering for over a decade, going back to the early 2010s, when Texas State and UTSA decided to join the FBS themselves. Several factors played into those ambitions, from elevating the profile of the athletic department to the financial benefit that have already begun to come into focus. A move to the FBS would cause them to make money off their television rights rather than paying to play on TV. Even in the rare instance they appeared on national television during the FCS playoffs, during their national title run, Sam Houston played its final 3 games on either ESPN or ABC, the school didn't receive a penny of the broadcast revenue. The move to Conference USA meant that they would be making between $700,000 to $1 million a year annually from the TV rights, while also leading to more national exposure for the school, playing games on CBS Sports, FS1, ESPN2, and ESPNU. They also started getting paid more for paid games, making $1.2 million off their game against BYU. It was a perfect storm that led to the decision to make the move to the FBS, and had they hesitated, they would have been paying $5 million instead of the $5,000 that they actually paid due to the recent rule changes by the NCAA to deter schools that don't have the financial backing to make the move up. Their stadium had a capacity of 14,000 people, but they planned to play at least one game at NRG Stadium to help with the attendance figures. While Sam Houston had been a member of the Southland Conference since 1987, there were some problems that began to rise even though they were not looking to leave the league before joining the WAC. But with the change college football was dealing with, a financial divide among Southland schools began. An inequity in decision-making within the league led to mounting frustrations as the haves were regularly outvoted by the have-nots 8-5 when it came to basically anything that cost money. One source told CHRON, the Southland was very comfortable shutting us down every single time. Anything that was proposed, if it was $1 more expensive than what it was, we would lose the vote. They would join the WAC in 2021 following their national championship winning season, but the conference focus on basketball paired with its eye-opening lack of emphasis on establishing an identity as a viable competitive football conference soured some at Sam Houston on the situation, even though the conference was talking about moving up to the FBS altogether. Keeler was originally weary of the move up to the FBS, wanting to compete for national titles, would come around as the transition occurred. While the news of the transition was being announced in October of 2021, Sam Houston was in the middle of what would end up being a 21-game win streak en route to a first-round bye for the FCS playoffs. It would be Incarnate Word 49-42 in the second round of the playoffs, before losing to Montana State 42-19 in the quarterfinals. Following the 2021 season, Keeler faced a major challenge. How does he keep his roster together for the transition when they really can't play for anything for 2 years? Especially with how the transfer portal was set up today. Keeler explained, when App State transitioned from the FCS to the FBS, those kids couldn't go anywhere. The only place they could go was down to Division II football, and they didn't want to do that. So this is a completely different world to transition with the portal. Keeler built a roster that went 21-1 in their 22 games played in the year of 2021. He would be able to save most of his roster, only losing graduating players who wanted to compete for a bowl game to finish their careers, and he would choose to redshirt a lot of their top guys for the 2022 season to convince them to stay. Due to a 9-game schedule, players only needed to miss 5 games to redshirt, and allowed them to develop some younger players as well. This led to a difficult 2022 season that saw them finish 5-4 and only saw their offense score 20 points in 3 games. They were also still dealing with the effects of playing 22 games in 10 months. 2023 would be a season of growth for Sam Houston as they would play a lot of teams close, were unable to finish in the end. They lost their season opener to BYU 14-0, lost to Air Force at NRG Stadium 13-3, lost in overtime to Jack State, came up short against Liberty 21-16, 27-13 in New Mexico State, 33-27 in double overtime to FIU, and 37-34 to UTEP, starting the season 0-8, before getting their first win as an FBS team over Kennesaw State, 24-21. They followed that up with a 42-27 win on the road against Louisiana Tech, before losing another close game to Western Kentucky, 28-23. They would finish the 2023 season on a high note, though, beating Middle Tennessee 23-20 to finish their first year as an FBS team 3-9, experiencing their first losing season since 2009 under Todd Whitten. Though that the record does not look pretty, had a few things gone their way, they may have been bowl eligible record-wise, going 2-5 in one-score games and 2-8 in games that were 14 points or less. The school seems to be all in when it comes to football. They have a great head coach, and their backyard is the heart of some of the most talented recruiting and fertile recruiting grounds in all of college football. I would not be surprised if they develop into a great Group of 5 team down the road. What do you think? How well will Sam Houston State do this season? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.